Hey everybody, welcome to the Growing with Fishes podcast, episode 191. This week we have Donovan from Organic Innovations.
Hey.
And we're hanging out at his farm. We're going to show you a little bit of his farm here a little later. Once we get everything's up and running here, we're having a couple of minor issues, but we'll get them all sorted out. Marty and I both have had some problems today, so we got it. One day we had issues too. So, how's Marty? How you doing, Marty?
I'm alive. That's the best I got for you. Yeah, it's been a long day, and looking forward to some rolling this flat wrap and smoking into my dome. It's been that kind of day. But yeah, we can go check out the grow. I just released a bunch of predators in there earlier today, and so some Californicus, some lacewing cards I put out a couple days ago. I'm sure they're hatching out by now, and some, is it Persimmilus? I think it's how you say it. I'm not sure. So a couple predators and some lacewings. Haven't released the nematodes yet. Those will go out next. So fun IPM stuff in the garden. How about you guys? How you doing today?
Yeah, we're doing good.
So tell us a little about yourself and how you got started with aquaponics and how you ended up with an aquaponic cannabis farm.
Yeah, definitely. Construction my whole life has been basically nothing but construction. I moved to New York for a little while and did a little bit of college, but mostly just waited tables and just wanted to see, what I could of the world. Came back to Texas where I wanted to start a construction company, and I did, and it was great. That's been fun. Kind of did mostly everything I wanted to do on that. And obviously everybody talks about it and wants to be in the cannabis business. And as soon as I got my chance, when Oklahoma went legal, we were able to get started up here. So Oklahoma's pretty, they're pretty liberal about getting licenses to people and all that. You just had to be a resident. My partner's a resident. We started with a processing company, and it at the end didn't really work out. There were some weird partnership difficulties that just were no fun, and I'm sure everybody's been through all those multiple times. Everybody I've talked to has been through maybe 10 different organizations where things just didn't quite work out, normally because of one person. So with the grow, we happened to stumble upon it. It wasn't for sale. It was just something that we got invited to go look at, and for us, it was just definitely like everything fell into place, and we got, we got in a really good relationship with the guy selling it. We still talk to him all the time. He built it. Him and another guy named Richard has a very similar operation. They took a lot of aquaponic classes and all this, and they ended up developing kind of their own system that's similar to others. It's all, sort of the same base concept, but we fell in love with it. He fell in love with us. We liked them and their family. They liked us, me and my wife and my partners. And we worked out a deal. So it was great. So we've been learning that system while doing indoor grows. We have a couple of indoor buildings that we have a mother building, mothers and some little bit of vegetation and clones in there. And then there's 2 other indoor facilities on the same site. So it's a beautiful farm. Just even without growing here, it's just a beautiful place. And we're very, very blessed to have Steven here with us. And aquaponics was the road I really cared about going down. The guys that had a lot of experience, organic growing was something a little bit new to them. So I stayed focused on that while they stayed focused on just growing and teaching me everything there was to know about that, or everything they could, right? They'll never know it all. And my wife's been very, very supportive, and I still have a business in Texas. So you know, I try to split my time about 60-40 here. But again, with great partners and great guys working here, it's going really well. So we spent the first 6 months really just developing you know, kind of what our style was going to be. And we tried a few different ways. And certainly I don't mind failure whatsoever. I certainly do mind failing at the same thing or making the same mistakes. I think, you know, there's always room to grow with failure, but not the same thing over and over again. So, but luckily we haven't done too much of that, but we've learned a lot. And I understand that organic growing is the way that everybody's going to be asking for it at some point. There will always be, you know, the big guys doing the big grows, and you know they're gonna do what they can to try to take over the industry. But you know, having knowledge from guys like Steven and listening to podcasts, Steven, so we had seen Growing with Fishes, heard him on cast, and he was talking about molybdenum, and I was like, oh god, this, you know, just that alone, I was like, shit, I don't know if we have that, you know. I was like, I gotta reach out to this guy. We kept in touch.
Had some issues with, like we talked about last episode, with the virus and everything. Get a bit dicey involved, so just back to this a little bit better chances if I do get sick. So
Yeah. Luckily, my wife's a nurse, so she'll
yeah, even better.
she can take care of him if something happens. But yeah. So that's just this huge.
Hey, Steve, you guys are breaking up real bad
whatever.
at least on my end. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Here's it's fantastic. And
Okay. Hold on. Hey, there we are.
all
Hey,
right,
you're back.
there we go.
That looks better. Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, me waiting for a second.
Yeah. We're just working out the bugs here. Okay, so yeah, I don't know where it started getting real bad, but
You were just talking about
yeah,
how
been
we're listening to the starting to listen to the podcast, I think. And
yeah, definitely. So you know, Growing with Fishes, obviously that was a big one for us because of what we do with aquaponics, and then Growcast. I think Jordan does a great job of you know, guys that don't have years of experience, learning something new every day, and with obviously nothing but, you know, experts in the industry. So that's when we reached out to Steven, was after hearing him on that. And we were lucky enough to get him to come out. And now we got him here full time. or for the while anyway. So
Yeah.
it's been great. Yeah. So
At least the virus worked
um,
out in your favor, right?
yeah, the one
thing.
positive. Yes.
There you go.
And
So what
did you
got
get
you
it?
interested originally in aquaponics? Did you hear, where did you hear about it originally? You said it was something you were interested in doing from the beginning. So where did you
Yeah.
learn?
So well, originally I was interested in, and I hate to admit it, but the business side of it. Obviously, the health side was, if there's a way to, grow something clean and good that is beneficial for people. But I've saw so many of my friends not doing well because they lacked some of the business side of it, and that's important. So our overall goal is, you know, yeah. Our overall goal is to make sure that there's good, clean, affordable, healthy products at the end of the day. Um, I don't know if anybody's going to be able to stop, some of the like big 3 and 4 companies that are out there that have no good intentions at all. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to stop them, but someone needs, or maybe a collective of people is going to have to do what they can to make sure there's a healthy alternative out there for everybody. So that's our main goal. At the end of the day, when all the goals are accomplished, I want to have my one location that I have, and be able to run that, and the rest of the company just has to stay within the guidelines and the principles of what we're starting this thing for, and it can do what it wants to do. I have no no need to be some big CEO at any point, but we're certainly excited about what's going to happen in Texas and being there from the very beginning and growing aquaponics across Texas, and also getting nutrients from the system to people's gardens at an affordable price as well. That should be easy. If we have locations everywhere, that's kind of one of the goals as well, is to help people's gardens, help them grow organically at home.
So tell us about your system and a little bit about the types of fish you have and things like that.
Yeah, sure. So our systems run with tilapia, and they're organic.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're pretty big. So each tank is around 250 fish in there. Depending on which tank it is. So we use pretty large tanks that have different size fish in them, but it's probably time to swap some out. But it's very hard to do that when you're hand feeding them, and you kind of get to know them and all that. And you're like, oh man, I know I'm gonna have to swap some of these out with some little guys, but it's to me, I can't be the one to do it. So I'll I'll let the other guys, that have the heart to do that. But yeah, so we use tilapia. That's what the system started with. Actually interested in what some other alternatives to that, but right now we're really, really happy with what they're doing. So from there is clarifiers. The clarifiers to separate the solids out, and then we try to grow as much beneficial bacteria in the next 3 tanks along that line. So similar to a Nelson. Well,
it's a similar design to Nelson and Pate, but it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's got its own flavor. So if anyone's familiar with that system, it's kind of like that. So we use netting tanks with just and another tank with plastic cogs, just to provide surface area for bacteria to grow and thrive in. From there, it travels down to the water beds. The water beds flow with pipes that go underground. They go back to another set of beds, and then go back to sort of the intake, or the the in tank, where it's pumped back to the fish. So there's just one pump that runs the system, and unless you're doing the NFTs, and there's a separate pump for that, but everything's water. All the water's gravity fed throughout the whole system, and then there's kind of a separate system where you use a high solids water. So And that's like a flood and drain area. We'll go look at that here in a minute.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're here in Aquaponic, and we've got a little system worked out for that we can look at. And you know, I think we're going to add a few more greenhouses out here to just light up in individual greenhouses.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's very yeah, it's not easy having trying to light up a greenhouse is fun.
No.
So if you need a veg and the same area, it's very cool.
And you got some new greenhouses coming in too, right?
Yeah, there's 3 new greenhouses coming. They are specifically for light depth, and excited to get those in because that's going to change everything.
We're putting geothermal on them and all the.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing these up in the proper, you know, low cost, you know, heating and cooling. So that'll really give him huge advantage for his overhead costs and really reduce how much it's going to cost to heating and cooling. It really takes 15 to 20 degrees off of your temperatures, and
Yeah,
it really does make a huge difference, especially when you get those 105-degree days you get down here sometimes.
yeah, days in a row. So yeah, there'll be 2 weeks straight of 100 degrees plus. So you got to be prepared for that. You know,
what do your winters get down to?
what is it? Say it again.
What's up?
How low of temperatures do you get in the winter?
It doesn't get too bad. We have large propane heaters that will blow across one way and another one facing the other way on the opposite corner. That they do run through a lot of propane though, and that bill is gotten pretty high last winter. But yeah, it'll get down into the 20s and 30s. Not too long, but it's easier to deal with than 105. We're cool with that. And then of course the indoor, they're all just completely no air exchange, you know, just tightly sealed buildings. But so those we add CO2 in. But yeah.
Yeah, we'd show you the indoor ones, but all of them end up killing the signal. You have absolutely no cell service or anything else in there, so
Yeah.
I have no way to, or even Wi-Fi. So I can definitely shoot a video and post some videos on YouTube, but we won't be able to show you those tonight. We will be able to show you the greenhouse though. So.
Yeah, definitely no live videos in there.
And what tell us what you're smoking there, Marty.
This is mullein wrap. So
I saw a giant.
I think I had one last week too, but it's just a mullein leaf like this.
Yeah.
I use for a wrap. So I just cut off both ends and kind of square it up like a blunt wrap, and that's what I'm smoking.
There you go.
So
how do you keep it together?
All the little hairs on it just act like kind of a Velcro. I don't even really need anything. You can use oil if you really needed to, but if you dry them for about 3 days, then they'll be really, really soft, almost like a cloth material, and then it just holds together on its own. This one doesn't have anything on it, but usually I put oil on it.
Yeah, that was pretty
nice. Cool. I've never tried that. I just found a plant on the property today. Super sick. In fact, if you look right there, there's some leaves.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't for your lungs. Smoking a lot of people, it will build the bacteria stuff in your lungs. Strong antibiotic. You know, great way to not get a cough after going to something like Emerald Cup or some of the other cups where you're going to smoke with 200 or 300 people over the course of the weekend.
Yeah.
Even just my stoner cough does wonders.
Yeah, or if you have chronic bronchitis, it's the winter time. A lot of people have chronic bronchitis. It'll cure that too as well. It works really good for that. So tell us about some of the other crops you grow aside from cannabis at the farm.
I think my wife's watching. she's gonna be mad that I don't remember them all. But we do lavender. Uh, let's see, was it
Majorum.
majorum,
Some
basil, thyme. All that's just companion plants.
There's
Let's
some
see.
cucumbers, some tomatoes, some
There's a
peppers,
banana tree. Yeah,
some banana trees.
yeah. There's a bunch of little stuff.
Kale.
Kale, yeah. There used to be a large tomato plants hung up, you know, probably 10-foot high. And they were great. We had to get rid of them, though. They were taking up too much real estate.
Right.
It was sad, but we had to do it. Let's see, what else? The lettuce is pretty much all gone. I think we're almost out of lettuce now.
Down to the last of the lettuce.
Yeah, we're keeping the roots in there. They're probably overgrown, and just keeping the roots in for the system.
Yeah.
Keep cleaning the water.
Yeah, we'll replace it with some weed clones here before too long.
Yeah. Yeah, we have rafts that each 4x8 raft holds about 500 clones. The way we have them drilled out, and that'll be nice because we're getting ready for outdoor, and Steven's actually helping a lot with that. So we've watched a ton of Chris Trump videos. You know, everybody that's looking in, anybody looking into KNF obviously knows all about that. So it was just a big difference having
to watch some Chris Trump videos because he's awesome. And
that's
not only does he teach good stuff, but his videos are super easy to follow. They don't get crazy in depth. If you don't want to, you know, like you can just watch somebody make it and explain it very simply as they do it. So it's a great channel for whether you're just starting out or you're wanting to make super advanced stuff. He's got a really wide range of content. It's awesome.
Yeah, and you can see the evolution of his beard and everything throughout the years.
I know, right?
It's great.
It's awesome.
Same thing with Steven, some of his old videos. It's awesome seeing them. Yeah. So having, you know, someone like Steven here, you know, watching videos and thinking that I know something, and then having someone just kind of like verify that, yes, that is all you do. And yes, it does work. You know what I mean? It makes a big difference when you're making decisions about kind of how to move forward. Same, you were just talking about some predator bugs, and Steven just knew right off the bat, this one, it works. Whereas we're kind of just like, we sure hope this is going to work when we're ordering bugs, you know. Right. It's very, very different. So
especially when you're doing it at scale, you know, you might be ordering hundreds of dollars worth of bugs that if they aren't effective, you know, it's kind of a big deal, you know.
Yeah, they need to work. Yeah.
They all die off because the temperature range or humidity range is off, or they just don't even eat what you're trying to treat. Then you know, all of those are going to be problematic. Not only do you lose the money that you invested, but you lose the time in which you could have treated. Now your infestation's worse.
All right.
So bugs are like a twofold problem, and I think a lot of times why people lean towards using something they can just spray on their plants and then verify whether or not it's dead. You know? Right. It's kind of an easier thing to do if you don't want to do a little extra reading.
Yeah. Well, even that's not easy, right? But
it can seem easy. It can seem easy. People put it that way.
Yeah. So there's been so much trial and error, and now it's more just success, you know.
Place is looking greener just in the last few days.
Oh yeah. I mean, Steven was able to come in and identify an iron deficiency right off the bat. And that, you know, our system's kind of just been self-supportive the whole time. We didn't realize how much, you know, you can tweak a system like that and how much you might be deficient in certain areas. We test for, I think, you know, along with that kit, there's probably eight different things that we test for.
He actually has a really nice Hannah.
It's photometer.
Photometer. Pictures of it.
Really cool. So it works kind of like, you know how the little Hannah checkers work? Well, imagine if you had a whole bunch of Hannah checkers all in one unit. That also has a battery, a rechargeable battery, so you can plug it in and then walk around with it, you know, with your different systems and stuff, and test all the different stuff as long as you got your reagents. It's quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't even hook it up till he got here because
Yeah.
we were questioning, like, well, everything's
Does-
looking good.
Does manganese and iron and pH and
Yeah, copper.
and it's pretty dope.
Yeah, I think they have even like 10 more reagents that we didn't
Yeah,
even
there's
order.
there's ones that we don't have.
Yeah. So if there's any new growers out there, my favorite thing to tell people is whatever you thought it was going to take to start growing, just whatever budget you thought that was, triple it, because nobody could have ever told me it was going to cost, anything like this to really get going. And no matter how much I think I know throughout the last year, then someone like Steven comes along and you realize you don't really know all that much. I can talk to most growers and they think I'm super intelligent, like, oh man, that guy really knows the stuff. And I'm like, God, you have no idea how little I know now. The more you know, the more you don't know thing. That is so true right now. But as far as on the business side, nobody could have told me it was going to cost that much to get some plants to grow. There's just no way. So
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it a lot in our commercial cannabis class. We get a lot of weird looks from students when we start talking about some of the things they might encounter, just the things that we know other people have encountered trying to start up. And a lot of people, just can't believe that you might have to, function for, 6 months without any income, or
yeah,
all of these various things that you really need to be able to be prepared for that don't really seem like that's the case. But especially in the cannabis industry, when you're dealing with things like regulations and licensing and testing and numerous things, there's a lot of pitfalls you have to be prepared for sure.
Oh, for sure. And whoever's on your team around you, they need to have designated things that they focus on, because there's no way to keep up with all the regulation, all the accounting, all the sales, all the IPM, all the nutrients, all the different stages of the plant. On a simple, business, you look at, you say, oh, well, how long does it take to veg? Oh, okay. And how long does it take to flower? Okay, well, then we'll have money on this date. And, and that's so far from reality. It's not even.
How long does it take to dry? And how long does it take to peel? And how long does it take to package? And how long does it take to ship?
Yeah. And then testing. Yeah.
Oh, and we skipped the biggest one. Even I did just now. Trim. How long is it going to take to trim?
Yes. Oh, how many people does it take to trim?
Are you gonna hand trim?
Are you
gonna hand trim or machine trim?
Oh God.
Or just extract it?
Or just extract it?
Yeah. Anyway, so many questions. All the, like you're saying, everybody's got to know what they're doing. Your SOP's got to be lined out so that that people just know. Depending on whatever decision you make, because there's 1,000 different decisions you can make about how to run an aquaponics system and business separately. So now you've got thousands of combinations between the two of them, and everyone's got to know whose responsibility is for what. Because if it's nobody's responsibility to test for iron, then
right,
the iron's going to hit zero.
Yeah,
your plants are going to be upset. So all of those different things end up being something that you got to account for somewhere once you get to scale. All these things that you're doing in small grows, it's easy for one person to do all that stuff, but at scale, it's a whole new beast.
Yeah, it's been fun. Well, yeah, my wife looks at me a little crazy sometimes because I'm not trying to brag, but I used to be a kind of wealthy man. Yeah. So I use that meme now from the Tiger King when he's like, I'm never going to financially recover from this. It's like my favorite meme. Like, 1 year into growing, I'm never going to financially recover from this.
Just make it your profile picture.
And the old boss he goes, you know how you make a small fortune in the pet trade? Start off with a large fortune.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And yeah. So if it was not for the health benefits of this, I probably would have tucked my tail and ran. You know what I mean? It's just there's like no comparison out there for like what this means to people. And the more people you run into that have these insane stories of like skin diseases and things that they've gotten all off of all their medications, or, you know, I mean, it's just every story of a real person looking you dead in the eyes and telling you a story. You're like, oh my God, that's fantastic.
It's really powerful when someone can just be like, it fucking worked for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, here was my problem. Here's what I did. And it worked.
Yeah.
So, and there's so many people that you can run into that have such a positive experience of it. Even, you know, like people's grandmas treating their arthritis are probably like the number one that I talk to people all the time that are just like, oh, I use this lotion on my hands, now it feels great. Or some of them move on. They're like, oh yeah, I smoked a joint, you know, and then, before I go to sleep, and I slept for 12 hours for the first time in 30 years. You know, like, those types of stories are really powerful and inspiring most of the time.
Yeah, it is. And the more people are learning about it, the more they're actually able to help themselves, you know, whereas they were getting like a slight improvements. And now it's like you know, you can't call it a cure, but a way better reaction from what they're doing, because they're learning what terpenes do and, you know, what strands are actually helping them. And that's been a big help. You know, one of the positives of some of the bigger organizations is what they do for education, I guess, because they have a bigger presence and all that. And that's really cool. Well, for instance, Leafly, you know, I don't know I don't know exactly what they're doing and what their goals are in this world, but they're doing their best to educate people. And I like that about them. I've never looked into what their, you know, what their actual business model is or what their goals are in this industry, but I like that. I cannot wait to see something change in Texas and some other states and federally eventually, where, you know, real medical studies can be done easier. I can't even imagine where all this is going to go, but it's been, you know, slight improvements in every state, a little bit here and there. It's going good.
Yeah, I think that I really can't wait for state lines to open up. I think that'll be the next big business gateway that we need to get past in order to really open things up and to be able to just do interstate sales is,
right.
You know, it's going to change everything. And so I know we're going to get there at some point. Obviously, I think we should be there already. Should be yesterday. But I do think it's the next big financial boom that's gonna happen in cannabis. Is that once states that can overproduce can sell it to states that have a demand, there's gonna be a lot of money to be made for sure.
Yeah, and those dispensaries that are in state are still going to be doing good, still paying lots in taxes. You know, it's all going to be good. Selfishly, I want Texas to open up for a little bit. Let me make some big money there, and then it can go federal.
And then it can go federal.
Yeah, let me make some money in there. Let me recoup.
I could see states doing a phase in where maybe 2 years or 5 years they only allow in state.
Yeah.
You know, I could totally see states doing that. Especially red states, I could see doing that as well.
Yeah, I have a small theory about this financial crisis that we're in right now, that there may not have much of a choice. I think there's going to be a huge demand with the amount of jobs that have been lost. There's going to be
I think it could
demand.
be the straw that breaks the camel's back for sure, on legalization.
Yeah, and no matter what anybody has to say about Trump, he likes to see jobs. So
I could see him legalizing right before the election to try and win.
Oh yeah,
favor.
So if you
honestly, I don't care why he does it.
Right.
I just hope he does. Like, let's be honest, I'm probably not going to agree with whatever his reasoning is with most things. So I just hope that we can spin the wheel and hope it lands on legalized, because that's the way I look at it. You know, as long as we can get a federal legalization, actual federal legalization, his logic behind it can be whatever he wants it to be.
Oh
just fucking do it. And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Um, I can't imagine what other reason he needs because I think that's, the economy is like his number one thing. So it's just a theory, but I got high hopes. I think he's gonna probably have to pull the trigger on that.
Well, he said both, right? He said that he was gonna make it legal and that he was gonna crack down on illegal grows. Like he said both things. So
Yep.
Yeah.
which one he's gonna do today or tomorrow, I don't know. Hopefully he'll just land on legalize and it'll be permanent and
Yeah.
that'll just be done. But I don't count on it, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
I do think it's gonna happen at some point. I don't know if it'll be now. But I do
Certainly,
think at some point it will.
it certainly would be the easiest way for them to create the most amount of jobs,
Yeah.
given the current economic climate.
You'd have to care about things like tobacco.
There's not much else you could do in some of these states that's going to get any kind of cash moving,
Yeah.
except
It's
for
all
some-
gonna, in my opinion, it's gonna come down to his advisors. So the people that are advising him about jobs, because he's gonna wanna win favor. Like we can all agree that Trump is gonna want to win favor right now,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, that's like his primary thing. And so if his advisors that he trusts, which that's a weird bunch of people, but if his advisors that he trusts actually tell him like truth and facts about the jobs that can be created around cannabis, then I think there's a chance. But if
Right.
they don't, if they ignore things like all of the jobs that have been created in every legal state, then I don't know. I don't know what'll happen. We'll see.
Yeah. Well,
So
can hope.
what type of cultivars are you growing at the farm?
Okay. So we had a huge favorite locally that everybody loved, and it was called Memberberry. And oh my gosh, everybody just went nuts for it. And
From Ethos.
yeah, Ethos was the original breeder of that, and then they've got a few crosses that we've ordered just to see what they're like. But a lot of classics, a lot of like Kushes and and different varieties of OGs and Kushes, because those are just like Dallas favorites. I mean, if you ever go to Dallas, it's always OG or Kush. I mean, everybody gets down on that. So, oh gosh, there's my personal favorite was called Vanilla Gorilla, and I think that was Swamp Boy seeds, but I can't remember. And we met. Let's see. We met Capulator at Canacon, and we got probably 6 different things that he had, all based around Mac, of course. And those were all good. They were fun. People love anything with Mac in it, obviously. It's very popular right now. And then just a lot of classics. So one thing we wanted to get was some like, pre-98s and grow them in the dual root zone and see what happened to them and see if our testing ended up in the top tier of what, if 1,000 people have grown it and tested it, kind of see what they came up with and see how ours fared against it using a dual root zone. So, how's this? I don't even know how the soil's coming along. So we bought some super soil and we were mending super soil.
Yeah.
And then we were gonna maybe just blend them or try them apart from each other. But I've been gone for like a week, so I'm not caught up on that. Yeah. And
we've been doing our can F amendments. We got labs. We got IMO 2. We'll be doing some liquid IMOs and some IMO 3, some IMO 4. I got pictures for that. We'll be doing next batch. I'll do a video on it, but just didn't do a video this round. We were just trying to get stuff done and a little bit behind schedule.
Yeah.
I'm trying to juggle a whole bunch of shit at once.
Yeah.
So didn't get a chance to do that, but that's coming along really well. And then just kind of getting the mom room clone back out and trying to just crank out a bunch of clones. It's coming up on spring, so a good time to get those extra clones kicked out. Other people want them or need them, so definitely Good time for that as well.
Yeah. I think there's roughly 70 total cultivars here, and some are just getting going. But I don't know. Do you have any favorites from the harvest that we had last time? We kind of ran into where everything we grew came out great. We cured for about a month. We developed an awesome system for curing, so that we can kind of cure about around 100 pounds at a
I
time.
don't remember what's what that we smoked because they had a whole bunch. There was two of them that were like particularly terpy that were really nice.
Yeah. The white on white. I remember that one being
Oh,
very
yeah.
good. Yeah. So we found out if we had finished building everything out, we would be able to keep moving forward as a business. So we produced some fantastic flower, but just not enough of it. So I'm kind of a little bit focused on getting the rest of the facility built out, and Steven's kind of become farm manager basically at the moment. Yeah. And we're gonna keep him as long as we can, but well, the time will tell. And yeah.
So what made you decide to do aquaponics in particular?
After seeing the system, one of the partners already knew about it, and he said, "Oh, this is it. This is like this is people love this stuff. This is good, clean. It's like the truest form of organic you can imagine." It's like, okay, so I started looking into it more, and as I got to know the people that built the place originally and why they built it, and what they were able to do with their own health problems by growing their own organic food through that system, I fell in love with it. They were a little bit older couple, and they've got grandkids they want to go see in other states, and they want to do, including some amazing charitable work they're doing in Africa with aquaponics, in Kenya, actually. So kind of the other side of where you were at. Um, that's the other side, isn't it? Something on the west.
No, it's north of
Oh,
Zimbabwe.
just north of it. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
well, it's north of Zimbabwe, like 2 or 3 countries.
Okay. Couple countries north. So yes, so I guess that is on the east side. So anyway, they're doing some great stuff around the world, and mainly, just not having to work every single day because farms don't take a day off. They were ready to kind of step away. So it was perfect timing. Like I said, it wasn't even for sale. So after I saw what it was, I looked into it more, and obviously having shows like yours around are very, very helpful for people that have no idea what they're getting into. So yeah, I fell in love with it quickly though. And a lot of things had to fall in line in order to purchase the farm, and it all did. So it felt like it was something that was meant to happen for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
How have you found Oklahoma as far as getting the business up and running?
Gosh, they're perfect, honestly. There are some weird things they don't quite have a understanding of in some ways, but as far as letting a market be sort of a free market, they did it about as well as anybody could, especially on like first years. Um, they did great. We've all seen what happened in California with overregulation and whatever anybody's opinion is on that. It hasn't been helpful to the smaller mom and pop growers that just can't survive. We've seen, I've heard so much about Maine and Illinois and places where the rules don't even make any sense. Florida, where I don't know how much you had to pay to get a license there.
A lot.
Yeah. So, we feel like Texas is going to be the same way unless something changes. So, anyway, Oklahoma's been great. People that have come and visited and just couldn't believe that you could be in a Buffalo Wild Wings smoking a blunt are just blown away by that stuff. And it's really, really cool. And is he on his?
I'm just pinning the video.
Oh,
here.
okay. So yeah, no, Oklahoma's been awesome. There's some little stuff that they got to get fixed, but there's some interesting people. You know, kind of Durbin is a lawyer here that's very interesting to follow. I haven't got to follow him that much, but he's very involved, and there's a lot of interesting people involved. Oh, okay.
What's going on there, Marty? I guess Marty's stepped away for a moment, showing us his fish,
Yeah.
fish porn. When Marty gets back, we'll jump over to the greenhouse here.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the challenges you found working with aquaponics?
Oh, okay. So for us, there's like a system that has to be ran every day. So that's part of separating the kind of the solids, and the solids are ran like there's a high solids tank, basically the clarifiers that we drain, and then using a bubble beater just to try to break down the solids and make them more soluble, I guess, so that everything's kind of broken up and then all into the water, so that part of that goes into our flood and drain area. So running that system every day was challenging at first, because it's, you know, your first time, you don't even realize what you're doing and why. So like I said, the guy that built it, same as Clyde Ledgerwood, he's a great guy. Having him around for the first month, that was great. First 2 months, I think, really. But the aquaponic side has actually been way easier than the indoors. It's being in a greenhouse and being in a, we haven't done a lot to that system. There's times that we'll drain a little water out and add more fresh water for ammonia, or, something that's too high for some reason, some algae growth here and there that we deal with. But I didn't realize that we were low on things, because everything was still growing. So had I known that we were low on certain nutrients, I guess I would have told you that was the problem. That was probably the hardest thing to deal with, but I didn't even realize we
Easiest thing for me to deal with.
Yeah. And so True Aquaponics, that's been a great source.
Yep.
If anyone's, wants to look them up, True Aquaponics is a place where you can send your test results, and they'll tell you exactly what you need in your system and send you exactly what you need for your system, so you don't have to really think about it. And Steven helps them out a lot, and reads the data and just, helps decipher what needs your system is needing. So yeah, that's, had I just done that a long time ago, actually, that would have been great. Our growth has been exponential. Things we were lacking were added to it. And yeah, I had no idea. I'd heard Steven actually talking about, 4 inches a day type of growth. We're like, well, we don't quite see that, but it's growing great, and then he gets here and fixes a couple things, and all of a sudden everything's incredibly green, and just a whole different type of green than I even knew about. And the growth is taken off. So thanks, Steven. Let me say that. I didn't even tell you that. Thanks, man. That's actually, thought we were doing, once again, just when I think I know something. So an actual expert lets me know subtly that I don't know shit.
I'm hoping to get the book out done this year too, and help everybody else get up to the same speed.
Oh my God. Yeah. And I do jump into things head first, and I'm so glad my wife is only probably watching and not able to to chime in, because I jump into things full force, head on. There's no fear, right? I just go for it, and sure wish I, had taken some time, read some books and all that before, but it's all good. That's what, that's what life is making mistakes and learning from them. So I think Michael Jordan's probably the best person to listen to about that, because he's the only person that talks about the 60,000 shots that he missed, or whatever. Everybody talks about how great he is, and I love hearing that, because I'm a big believer in that. Is mistakes are awesome if you learn from them. They're just horrible if you do them again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any challenges you've run into with the fish?
No, man, they're actually really resilient, and that's why tilapia were chosen.
You have some
at the time.
They have some like 12 and 14 pound tilapia, some massive tilapia that are the size of small children.
Yeah, there was an Asian restaurant owner that came to look at some, and he's like, "What am I gonna do with these? I can't cover the whole table." I was like, "Man, just do the family style platter. What are you talking about?
We'll cut them into chunks."
Yeah, what's the problem? But they're huge. I think they're about some are 16, 18 pounds. They're incredibly big. So actually Steven, months ago when he came out, he was like, "These are huge. These are gigantic." So I looked up giant tilapia, and I couldn't find any that were as big as ours on Google. So.
Certainly not. So if anyone needs any good breeders in the Texas or Oklahoma area, or Arkansas,
you got some good stock to start with.
Man, you'll get more babies at a time than you can possibly handle with these fish. They are massive.
Yeah, but they are resilient. They do good. Every once in a while, there's a dead one. Nobody knows why. I think that's part of what fish do.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, they but this whole year, we've only lost out of over 1,000 fish, we've lost maybe 5 or 10. I mean, it's been nothing. So that's been awesome. That was our biggest fear, though. So we're gonna kill these fish. We knew the lettuce would do okay.
Yeah. What are the challenges aside from what you touched on earlier have you had with the cannabis side of things, just getting the cannabis business going?
Oh my God. So we wanted to try every style of growing that's out there and implement aquaponic nutrients, or in some, not, and really try side by sides. And to try every single one when you don't know that much about any of them, I might as well have tried to be an astronaut. But I learned so much, and with cocoa, you can pretty much say pH or CalMag is where you need to start. With living soils and all that, if you start off with good stuff, you're probably going to be fine. I guess it's just that's a whole subject and a whole podcast on its own. But aquaponics, honestly, I mean, that side of it has been the most consistent and fun to experiment with, because our first dual root zone, we took plants that were basically just trash. They should have been thrown out if they were taking up any real estate at all. It was a waste of space, but we wanted to see how they would do if we cut out the bottoms and did some burlap in a dual root zone. And they took right off. After a week, you couldn't even tell that they weren't, that they, you would guess they started off as our best select, plants that we were going to showcase, because they did wonderful after that. So there is some magic going on with the dual root zone. That's definitely something that we are going to scale as much as we can. I think we're done experimenting with different kinds of growing, except the Dutch bucket system, like the bucket deep water culture. We're going to be doing some some experience with that and dual root zone and how we can get it to work together for, well, just for our own selfish reasons. We've seen what very inexperienced growers can do with a system like Current Culture and their kind of deep water culture bucket design and system. And so, yeah, we're going to see how aquaponics and that mix, and the dual root zone and buckets mix, because that's, you know, separated from like being on beds with, you know, with clay or something. It'll be interesting. So, yeah. But yeah, kind of pretty much say that we're done experimenting and now it's time to scale and make it happen. So for the first time, we kind of have some little bit of an investor type group that's very interested. One guy's a really amazing doctor that's done some really incredible things in cardiology and also with viruses. Another guy is just really just the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He's a good businessman, very, you know, speaks very well, very understanding, great mediator between all the people sometimes because there's so many different ideas going on. So the other guy's a hardcore businessman in the best way, you know, and he used to be the guy that was like work hard, play hard guy, and now he's sober. So he has just a lot of great stories about it, but
it's just work hard.
Yeah, no, it's just work hard and give us hell, you know. And he's very, very funny, and they're all fun to be around and all that. But we do have a little bit of, it's not just me putting in money anymore. So we got to actually start producing, and if we're gonna scale and stand in the way of, you know, again, I hate to keep saying it, but so some of the big boys that have no concern about health and let's just be honest, they're whatever, the evil empires, right? If somebody's going to stand in their way, we have to do it by growing to a much larger capacity that we're at right now. So that's the next step. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, you there, Marty? Can you hear us?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. Why don't you give them a little bit of a tour, and then I'll mute my mic here, and then we'll go jump on in the greenhouse.
All right, sounds good. So I'm hanging out here in the flower room, and these are just about to hit flower. They'll probably start showing flowers here in just a couple of days. I think they've been officially on 12/12 for a day now. And yeah, so this is the fish tank back here. The drain tank or sump tank is down there underneath the media beds. You can see, kind of see the U siphon right there. So these two beds are on one siphon. Those two beds are on one siphon. They fill and drain just like a bell siphon. You can see the dual root zone pots underneath there. I have 3 plants in each bed, 1 plant per light, 12 lights. So the pump pumps from the small tank into the large tank. You can see the hose coming up here, goes up into a little, this is just kind of like a little, I don't know what you want to call it. It's not really a sprayer bar because it's not pressurized, maybe a shower bar. I don't know. Anyway, it just disperses the water, and also it's got holes cut in the top. We used to use this for a little NFT style setup, and now we just use it for starting seeds, and then the plants go to the outdoor garden. So other than that, there's not much function to this part, but essentially the tank fills up. The drain is down there on that end. You can see coming out there is the overflow, and the overflows into each of the beds here on the top. Fills up until it reaches the top of the U siphon, drains everything out until it pulls everything out, flushes out like a toilet, and then starts filling back up. We'll just shut off right there. I don't know if you could hear it or not, but now it's not draining. So got the scrog nets up. These have been vegging for maybe about 45 days now, something like that. And yeah, you guys check out the fishies here for just a second. We just got done eating, so. Got some Bokashi brand floating in there. They're fed with their fish food. And you can see they're not nearly as active. You guys have any questions, hit me up in chat. Be back in just a second. All right. So I forgot, I can't actually see chat. So until Steve gets back, we won't be able to take any questions. I was just trying to figure that out. I don't want to switch and lose you guys. You see, I got my greens growing down there. There's lettuce. I also have kale. I have some sunflower greens. I got some more lettuce down there. These two strains are Thorsberry and Pineapple by Banana Frost. There's probably about 45 to 50 fish in here right now. Some of the bigger koi are actually kind of hard to see as they get multicolored. I released some predators today. So there's Californicus and Persimilis mites have been released. Also green lacewings, predatory nematodes. Green lacewing cards just hang up. They're relatively easy. The mites you can just spread out. I like to use muffin cups. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's one right there, or one right there. That I just shove up into the branches, and then the mites come with a little cornmeal. You just pour that in there, let them disperse out from there. Working on the blackout, as you can see, I started out already doing the walls and pen and paper. I got to do that whole back wall there because there's little light leaking through there during the day, and my lights will be off during the day, so it needs to be completely blacked out. So that's the next little project. Probably the next time I do an update will be after I get that all sealed off and ready to go. Oh, now the other green just turned off.
Let's turn off the fan. Back in.
Oh, I think you're back.
Sorry
Steve,
about
can
that.
you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
I don't know. What can you see? Is my camera working?
Hang on. Oh, I think it is not because you highlighted my video.
Oh shit. Well, I can go back. Yeah,
Let me
you
try
know
this.
what?
Hang on.
I pinned your video. All right. Well, here. I'm gonna let no. How do I flip my camera on this? You're right. There we go. So I'll let you hold this. I'm gonna go unpin his video so it actually will show it.
Oh, okay. So can they hear me right now?
I can hear you, but I don't think they can see you.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. He's gonna go unpin that. All right. Well, I wish you could see all this. Oh, wow.
They should be able to pretty soon.
Okay.
Hopefully Steve will check chat for questions while he's back there. If not, I'll go take a look.
Yeah.
I need to figure out a way to get chat on my phone while I'm down here. So this is just under 4,000 watts of ceramic metal halide. They're 330 watts each. So altogether, the whole room is 20 by 20 with just under 4,000 watts. Some pretty cool little greenhouses you got there.
Yeah.
I know none of the the viewers can't see, but oh, there we go. Oh, it switched for a second. Now it's gone.
Oh no.
Oh, now he's got it. I just got to be quiet. All right, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So things have sprung up quite a bit since a little bit of iron was added to the system. So we have just some starting, clones, and some of them just got transferred, and these are going to go into the dual root zone. Throughout here, these are flood and drain, but we're really just using them for vegetation right now. Everything in this area. Here we needed roots in the system because I don't know if you can see over there. Oh, okay. So we had just transitioning getting out of like all lettuce completely. So we started these directly into the system to get roots growing as quickly as possible. And I don't know how good the light is over here, but hopefully, everybody will be able to see all of this. But these are, they definitely got roots in the system quickly. And if anyone is already growing aquaponics, you know how quick the root ball gets going. Yeah, so these we weren't planning on the roots growing straight through, but they certainly did. So probably the easiest, hack in dual root zone would be, using these aeration pots. So yeah, that was awesome. So here, yeah, they're just starting to come through.
These are only like 3 days on here.
And they're already poking through, so that the roots will find the water. They are searching for it all day long. And there you go. So these have been on here about 3 days, and they're coming through real quick. These just got transplanted, and yeah, they're loving it. So the growth is just as soon as it hits that dual root, then they're both getting nutrients and water and getting fed in both ways. It's amazing how the change and what happens to these plants. They just take off. So these we actually will go ahead and flower all the way just like this, and they're they're just in clay, just holding it, and then they're straight into the water. But these are the guys we're really excited about, is this whole bed now being ready. So we'll veg, and then you can see all these PVC pipes that we've created this hoop with. We'll be able to pull, you know, like panda wrapped over this, and then just trying this out by putting air going through these and drilling holes in the pipe to get airflow in here after it's draped over, to block out light, to do 12 and 12. We'll should be able to flower in these at night and turn on the fans and let airflow happen, and the air will come out the bottom, and we'll see how that goes. And when we get some new greenhouses out here, we'll transfer those into a true light depth greenhouses so that we can just veg in here and then you know, flower in the light depth. Just a random banana tree. It's doing great. I think that one just has a rope from the system into the soil. I think we water it every once in a while. Do y'all want to see some giant tilapia? The flashlight here. And see these bad boys. Oh God. Scared him. But
That's a good sized dinner right there.
yeah. Let's see.
Let me grab
Come on.
some food.
Well, typically they'll come right. Let's see. This window is 2 foot wide, so if that gives you an idea of how big these fish are. Steven's gonna throw a little food at them. Come on, guys. Camera shy. Let's see these guys over here. Maybe there's some over by the, yeah. Well, I guess they are kind of hard to see in here. Well, anyway, you get the idea. They're giant. What about these guys?
Looks like a good sized dinner to me.
Yeah, they're normally pretty friendly. They like to hang out, but they're probably ready for bed. And these are our babies, but they're not really babies anymore. They've grown into full grown fish. These guys will go nuts if you go. Have you fed them already? They're like piranhas. They're insane. So these being the fish tanks. Yeah. So these guys are getting nervous. So these are the clarifiers. And the clarifier is all the tanks run to clarifiers. So 2 fish tanks. Yeah, over here. Yeah, so these are clarifying. The clarifiers are just separating solids so that it's not really running through to the beds. And we'll take the high solids and kind of beat it up until it blends into the rest of the water. From there, it goes to these netting tanks. And these are, to us, just help growing all the beneficial bacteria. Obviously, there's a lot of poo in there, but it's all, this is the same thing. We just covered it up to help slow algae growth sometimes or kill off algae. So, fish tank, every 2 fish tanks goes to a clarifier. The clarifiers go to the netting tanks. The netting tanks go to this tank, which just has plastic cogs in it. And those are to help promote just a lot of surface area. And so this is the outgoing water. This goes out to the beds and it goes underground here. So out of these 2 pipes they go underground all the way to these beds. And you'll see the pipes that are going in. And since they're lower than those tanks, obviously gravity feeds them all the way down. And at the end of these two beds are two pipes that go underground to these two beds. And out of these two beds, these pipes carry water back to the incoming water from there. So they come back in here. There's one pump here back to the fish, and that's the only pump that the system needs. The rest from there all the way across and to the beds and back here is all gravity fed. Obviously, the suction of this pump helps water flow quicker. We do use another pump here to go to these NFTs, and the NFTs, there's about 2,500 sites. If you count all the holes, I might be low on that number, but we've got a nice little assortment of plants growing here. These are lemon balm, cilantro. We've got marjoram, and those are coming off. Oh, there's some more lettuce. Some lettuce is coming. I didn't realize we still had lettuce. All right, good deal. We've got lavender. That's looking really, really good. And there's a cherry bomb and some big beef and brandywine and new girl. Those sound like cannabis strains, but it's all right. Goddess sweet peppers. Well, this is, I think, my wife's doing. And oh yeah. So here's a easy way on these beds to make 500 clones. So if you can tell on the spacing of these, this is a 4 foot by 8 foot. And yeah, if we wait too much longer, they'll start to get tangled up with each other. But yeah, I love cloning this way because it provides, I mean, it's just zero effort. You fill in all these sites and stick the stem down there and it's gonna root. So it's about 95% success, which again, not using any electricity or anything. So right here, there's 2,000 clones, just right here. Well, if it was filled in, we got a little gap right there. And if you know how to log and mark everything, they're easy to keep up with. So that was actually looking better. So again, some of these weren't doing that great at first. And then now they're taking off and looking a whole lot better. There's some potato plants growing in buckets there. This is how we cool everything now. So we just use a giant swamp cooler wall, and the fans on that side of the building pull air through or push air out, which pulls air into this system, and it's all automated with just float valves. And these are the heaters. These run off of propane, plumbed in from the outside, propane tanks, and they push a lot of heat, but they use a lot of propane. And now we're back to here, and these guys were not looking great not that long ago. The roots finally hit the water, and they're taking back off. So these ones are funny. We didn't expect the pots to actually root out of. Typically, we would cut the bottoms out, but these are insane, and I can't believe I've never seen anything like that. So if there's any science behind that, I don't know, but that's pretty wild. So we didn't actually expect those to root that way, but they came right through, and roots will find water. Especially if you deprive them a little bit, they're going to find it. Oh yeah. So when we run everything out of the clarifiers, when we collect the high solids, there's some separate tanks over here, and it goes to this system. So we take excess nutrients and we run them into a flood and drain area. So this is all just clay. And Yeah, so there's a living soil with perlite. And right here we've got 808 headband. And I think this is the sativa scream. Oh, it's 808 as well. So obviously heavy sativas, growing tall and skinny there. And so these can be flooded and drained very easily. So just plug them in. They'll start pumping water into whatever system you tell it to based on your fill valves and your drains right here. It's not automated. You do it by hand, but you know, it's only twice a day, so it's pretty easy. And what do we got going on here? These are marked as, like I said, there's 70 varieties of cultivars here, so I get a little lost while I'm in here. Here's Snowball. That was definitely a fan favorite in our first, our first go around. Some more snowballs, so I think we're gonna do a whole run.
Way to me, it saves money. It's going to take a year research away, but
What's that, Roger?
oh, sorry, I was talking to myself, thinking about my hemp farm. Sorry, I didn't even know you could hear me.
Oh,
I'm going
okay.
through a bunch of crap. We were after the deadline, and the virus didn't help nothing with all the government being shut down. But people in the state have been really great to try to work the emails really hard. But it's just one thing after another. It's like it's never over, So sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay.
Very nice grow operation there. I like it. I like all the diversity. It looks like something I did 12 years ago in a small way, where I had every different kind of system you can have. From
Yeah.
flood and drain and
Yeah.
everything.
So people have asked what does best. Right now we're going to keep everything in veg, but later on we'll do some flower in here, and we'll be able to do. We can run a bed of everything. These are in wicking beds. These are in wicking beds as well. It's just soil. Over there they got DWC and straight DWC with just some little media, and then they got the DWC with the dual root zones, which is traditionally done the best. So we'll be able to do all kinds of stuff here and at scale. So been doing a lot of KNF stuff. We got actually we'll go up here and I'll show you what we got going on there. You see these tanks, these come off the mineralization tanks. You can see a little bit darker than the other tanks. Also with all the soil and stuff we put in here, it's staying in the water a little bit. You can see, look how bushy these plants are. The structure on these guys is great. Look at that. The plant's wider than it is tall. There you go.
Beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The nodes are perfect. I'm so happy with it.
Hey, check this one. Try this one. This one's huge.
God, that is a fat
mama.
Fat mama. Oh, geez.
There you go. Look at that shit.
Oh my God.
And when did you put these in here?
Oh, let's see. Should be dated, but these have been in for about right before you got here. So
is it dated
about
on the
2
tank?
weeks. Yeah, these are.
Yeah, so that's about 2 weeks worth of growth. 2 weeks.
I love the raft method down here. Pretty much, that's pretty much what we use for lettuce and all. If it's hydro or like you say, we're doing that deep water culture. That's used for basically lettuce and stuff like that most of the time. That's nice. That's nice.
A bunch of clones. These guys are getting ready to be transplanted over into the flowering room or going to be sold. We got some more moms over here. These ones need a haircut real bad, but they're doing good. They were had some nutrient problems before we got them, but they're doing kick-ass now. Again, just filling out some beds, getting there. Got a couple of other moms here on the end. We have a whole mom room, which again, we'll do videos of the mom room. We have 2 flower rooms and a a test room, a seed room. We have a whole bunch of stuff. So we'll get those over time. And some other clones, you can see it's got them up in party cups. So one of the things I want to show you guys over here, check this out. Look at the mycorrhizae growing on the surface of the soil there. Thought you guys would enjoy that. Thought that was super cool. That's when we added labs and IMO. So it's really working quickly in the soil here.
Wow. Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
Top dress some Bokashi brand and just you'll get a nice mat.
You know, stay in this little workstation there. Got all this nice little cuts. Some bigger ones, they're gonna be moms. We got all kinds of stuff going on. So, and then we got our nutrients. We got a whole bunch of stuff from down to earth. They sell them in big giant bags if you weren't aware of that. And look, we got an awesome jumping spider friend. Got some back guano. We got our kelp meal. We got fish meal. We got crab meal. We got seabird guano, oyster shells, green sand. We got we just got this. In fact, we were just on the phone with them today. Oh no, where is it? No, where is it? Where's the? We just got some full power from Dr. Faust. Somewhere here. I don't know.
Shout out to Dr. Faust. Hey.
There it is. There it is. It's down here. So this stuff, if you haven't used it before, full power is fucking awesome. We also get stuff from Roger from True Aquaponics. In fact, we just dosed this. He set us up with some single dose packs for the iron. Oh yeah. So if you're looking for him, check him out. I also work with him and do a subscription service if you want to have your nutrients taken care of for you and get pre-dose packs. You can visit him at trueaquaponics.com, and we have a service on there. Just click on nutrient subscription. I also have a refrigerator. Sure, you're using for clones and stuff, but we'll kind of figuring out what we want to repurpose that for. It's from the lettuce days when it used to be a lettuce farm. And yeah, any questions? I can't see chat. Roger, can you see YouTube chat? Can you go to the YouTube channel?
I can go. I don't have it on now, but I can open that up probably.
Yeah, if you could do that and ask if anyone has any chat questions, that would be great.
Let me see.
Marty, do you have any questions? Or Roger, do you have any questions?
Well, right now, let me go ahead. Get this YouTube open. And no, I mean, I kind of know most everything that you're showing. I've used it, and I think it's great. I think that this is real educational for everybody, and we've been looking forward to this for a long time for you guys to get to do that 4 different grow methods type thing. Because the old argument about what's best. I know that's lovely. I think it all works. If you're a good grower, I think all methods work good. But it's all about what you're looking for in the end, and and what your passion is. I think so we'll see. All right, YouTube. I forgot what I was doing here.
Did you guys have some flood and drain beds? I stepped away for a minute. I might have missed them, but
Yeah,
you guys do it all.
So these over here, these 4 beds over here are all flood and drain. And then all the other rooms are flood and drain beds. This is the only room that's DWC.
And that was just converted because that's what the original system was, right?
Correct. Yeah, this used to be a lettuce facility or, vegetable facility before that.
Converted from a.
You can see, look how dark green these are, nice and healthy. A little bit of labs left in the leaf. Okay. In fact, that's what I was going to show you guys. So, see, look how dark green these are, nice and healthy. A little bit of labs left in the leaf. Okay. In fact, that's what I was going to show you guys. So, labs ready to go. Ready to be harvested, needs to be separated, but there's a nice layer of cheese on top. Ready to go? Easy. And for everyone out there, yes, it is edible. Watch. Ready? Nice layer of cheese on top. Ready? Ready to go? Easy. And for everyone out there, yes, it is edible. Watch. Ready? Nice layer of cheese on top. Ready to go? Right. And for everyone out there, yes, it is edible. Watch. Ready? So here's our IMO 2. So if you looked on my Instagram, you got to see the IMO, which is the rice that we cooked and then put it out for, how long was it? About 8 or 10 days. We had a bit of a cold spell, so we left it out a little longer. And then we collected that and then cut it 50-50 with sugar. And you can see here, let's see if I can get it. It's a very liquidy substance. You know, it started off very dry because, you know, it was rice with fungi in it. So it wasn't very wet. But once we added the sugars, it really loosened it up. Or really liquefied. So you found that interesting. So yeah, we're doing all the Korean natural farming methods, hybridizing it with the aquaponics, and really getting the best of both worlds. Did you get that open, Roger? We got our cloner here. High bay cloner. Needs to be clean, just finished up. Gets washed up tomorrow so it can be reused. You can see it's got the sprayers inside. So, any other
You guys have
questions?
an air stone in there too, look like?
Yep, there's air stones in there. Yep. In fact, there's the air pump. Any other chat questions? Roger or Marty? I don't know, whoever's near a computer.
I didn't see iron the main supplemental dose apart from the fish feed. Chaz,
What's
so
that?
Chaz wants to know if iron is the main supplement apart from fish food.
So
For us, it was just something that it was lacking.
So here they were lacking iron and potassium. So traditionally, when you have an aquaponic facility, you should dose potassium and iron, and occasionally you'll have to dose calcium, magnesium, depending on your water source, your source water, and then you'll also have to dose trace minerals, depending on what type of cultivars. You know, particularly, molybdenum. The cannabis really strips the living shit out of molybdenum. Also, if you're doing purple cultivars, they'll also suck that up at a higher than average rate. But iron in particular, in fact, we're since we're on this topic, strawberries will also suck abnormally high rates of iron if you have an aquaponic system compared to normal. A handful of others, spinach also will pull abnormally high rates of iron. So it really just depends on your crop. Any other questions, guys?
I don't see any. Excuse me. I don't see any in chat.
All right.
So do you guys think that you will keep the raft beds, or will you eventually convert over to all flood and drain?
I think we're going to keep them for now and see if we can make them work, with the conversion, and then, work this way with the dual root zone rafts. And then if it doesn't work, then we'll go from there. Right now, the plan is just to see if we can get this to work, kind of like we did at Green Relief. We got it working over there, and get it working here.
So essentially, rather than having a flood and drain, you're just using the DWC as the lower layer of the dual root zone, and you still have a pot sitting on top that allows for air exchange on the roots, which is probably the main downfall to raft systems with cannabis is the large amount of dissolved oxygen that you need in a raft bed.
There you go.
The plant is completely submerged in roots.
That's crazy. These just came on. I mean, they just put these on.
Yeah,
It
these
hasn't even fully rooted the pot.
yeah.
And
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
you.
I really, my transplants into dual root zones, like in my media beds, I usually transplant them and water them once, and then after that, they just take over from the aquaponic water. Even small ones don't. You know, they just seek out the water so fast, and then
Yeah.
once they hit the water, you just see explosive growth.
Yep. Especially if your nutrients are dialed in, man, it is just unreal the speed of growth. And I know we've had people come on. I know Fish Ganja Guy had talked about it a couple of times about how, man, going back to growing soil is like watching paint dry. You know, it's just so slow compared to the aquaponics.
Yeah, I mean, I'm running 6-inch squares in my scrognet, and I have to train my plants every other day because they are growing up through it. So that's 4 to 6 inches of new growth per day, depending on what strain it is and how big the plant is. So it definitely will just take off once you get it into drinking water regularly from the aquaponic system and have regular access to air, because that's what you're missing in the DWC is if you don't have a ton of dissolved oxygen in the water, it depletes it so fast. It's very difficult to get it to come back up.
Yep.
So here, all the roots that are in the dual root zone pot up above the water line are going to have access to air. Not as much air as they would have if they were in a flood and drain bed, because then you would have that air diaphragm action. So have you considered just draining your raft beds occasionally? Is that something you can do?
well, it would probably, yeah, if we block off one side, we could drain it. It would back up we could turn off the pumps, let it go down, and then try to drain one off. Instead, like the blackworms have been, we're adding those to eat up the solids that are down there.
That's great.
Yeah. And there's actually little shrimp that are down there. What are they?
Scud shrimp.
Scud shrimp. Yeah. And they're doing a good job. We thought, we didn't really know what they were. Luckily, he knew. And they're not harmful. They're there to help. So they're eating the stuff we don't want. And
That's great.
yeah, actually, we look a little low on water right now. Normally, we're up about a couple inches higher than we are now. So we'll probably turn on a little bit of water tonight.
Any other chat questions?
Chaz wants to know why not just add an airline to the DWC. I'm guessing they already have one.
There is. Yeah, so there's an airline that runs down the center that has air stones. Hold on, I don't know if you want to lift that. Maybe we go over the clone side and do that. It'd be easier. Yeah. Without overturning a bunch of pots. As I overturn a pot. Literally, what?
There's air. You can show her there's air going into every single system.
Yeah.
They're going into it.
Yeah. So this has it. This has it. You can see there's a whole vertical manifold just for that, and then that comes across from there over to there, and then down here. This runs over and across. Yeah. You can see it runs across here and then down. And there's outputs all the way down on the rows.
Yeah, for sure. That having blowers in a DWC setup is critical in order to get that oxygen in there. So my only, Chaz was just asking, I think, because I was talking about draining the beds periodically, and that would just be to create the diaphragm action that you would get from flood and drain, still in the lower section.
If you were gonna do that, I would put, you know, some kind of cut PVC or something else to support the wraps so that they're not just, you know, sitting
Right.
on the.
Sitting on the roots.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you can
So
see that else we got.
Those
That's
wraps are just free floating.
We got some verticals.
That's cool.
So, any other questions?
Nope.
Chaz also wants to know if there are any apprenticeships for cannabis aquaponics.
Always. Always. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they are volunteer based, Chaz.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always room for people just wanting to come and learn. It's legalities, we don't have all those figured out yet. So, you know, we'll probably update Instagram and the website with that at some point when we can actually figure that out. So the colleges used to come out here all the time after legalization, and we came in and stuff. We don't know. We just don't know yet. So some weird rules.
Well, that's all the questions from chat.
All right.
Unless you guys have any more, shoot them out.
You guys have anything else? All right. Well, I think we're gonna walk back to the office, and I'll get you guys back in a few minutes. If you want to take back over, Marty.
All right, yeah. Roger, are you there? Oh,
I'm seeming to have technical. Yeah, here I am. There I am.
there you are. How you doing, man? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Oh, we're doing okay. Well, a lot going on personally. Amy's been in the hospital for 5 months, and but we're working through our hemp certification, and it's been real hard with her being in the hospital because I'm always having to both have to sign everything. You know? So she's doing better, but she got another operation coming up. But we're past the deadline now. We got our application in on time. Of course, you can't do any background check or fingerprints, which because they're actually not even allowing you to come to the office to get it done. But now they imposed today that the deadline for having your fingerprints was next Friday, and you can't even get the damn place that they want you to go to get fingerprints to answer the phone. So it's been a real trip. It's been a rough day. I thought I jumped some hurdles and got everything straight because in the past when I worked for I don't know if I'm still being heard because Marty froze up. Okay, he moved. No, he was just he's
I
concentrating.
was muted, taking a
Okay,
hit.
I got you. It looked like you froze up, but now you just weren't moving. But we didn't in the past when I grew for myself and sold the Whole Foods. I didn't have to have an FSA number because I was under 10 acres, and then sudden we get this application and they say you need a SFA number. So I had to wait for them to decide whether I did or not, and they said I did, and I had till tomorrow to get that done. So I got that all done with the state the last couple of 3 days, and then once I got it done, they said congratulations for completing your application. Hey, next Friday you got to be fingerprinted by next Friday, and the place they're sending you to get background checks and fingerprinting isn't answering the phone. So it's very frustrating since you asked.
No, it's all good. That sucks, obviously. I mean, it's not any surprise. Of course, anything that involves, legalization or regulation or anything involving growing cannabis always, or in this case, just hemp, always has to be more difficult than everything else.
Oh yeah, and what's sad is I could go on a rant here because hemp is an agricultural commodity, and it always was until the government shut it down along with THC cannabis, and it really sucks that a century later they're requiring us to pay them to let us grow it, and that's what I'm pissed off about. That that the law enforcement agencies or anybody else is getting involved with legislation and the administration of us being able to grow hemp, which is good for everybody in the world. And if they would just let farmers grow hemp, most farms would not be out of business. People would be able to get their farms back. You know, a lot of them where it's too late. It's just too late. But farming could happen again. You know, it would be something that we discussed on the show many times. It's not something that big industrial. Well, of course, what they're doing is they're making it so hard for us that the only people that are going to be able to comply, and then they probably won't meet the THC guidelines, but somehow since they're a $1 billion corporation, they'll get to sell their hemp where we have to destroy ours if it's over 0.399. And our state is not like in North Carolina, they test the third week of flower. In South Carolina, they're going to test the third week before you harvest. So they want you to call them when you say you want to harvest in 2 weeks. They want you to call them, make an appointment to have the test, which is going to be as it's actually getting from all the hemp seed companies and all the experts I know. And you know, I know a lot of experts from this show and just being in the seed bank business in the first place. That I've talked with some best seed banks. I think, is it Oregon Hemp? What is it? Oregon CBD or something, really nice company out there that you're what you guys way. I talked with them and told me themselves, if you grow their hemp seeds to the point, and these are, you know, certified seeds and stuff like that. If you grow them to the point of like we grow cannabis for THC cannabis for potency, you're going to be over the limit and you're going to end up having to destroy your plant.
CBG or just CBD?
THC is 0.399. Oh yeah, well they got a CBG thing, but they're pretty much limited. They had some leeway last year, but they say they're now going to follow the federal regulations as of next year. South Carolina, at least, if not all states, are going to have to follow verbatim pretty much the federal hemp law. And see, that is 0.3.
So
and the leeway that we're getting shown this year, which I was told by the Department of Agriculture, is what they're going to get is 0.399. So in 2 weeks before you want to harvest, all them up and out test, you're at 0.41. You're sunk. You just wasted all your money, time, labor, everything you got to spend to be a farmer. And I just think it's ridiculous because nobody's going to get high up a 0.2 of frickin' THC. You know,
yeah,
it's ridiculous. I mean, why don't you give us to 1.1? I mean 1.0, 0.99. Give us 0.99.
It should be 3%. No one's getting high off of anything less.
Yeah, nobody's getting high off of. I don't think it was getting high if it was 0.7. You know,
how about all of it?
Right.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
we had a question in chat. Says, what is the IG to follow updates on this system?
Organic Innovations OK at or whatever. It's Organic Innovations OK.
Yep.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram. And did you have any like follow-up questions?
Yeah, did you have any? Does anyone else have any other questions for him before we wrap up his segment?
I can just say for you know, anyone thinking about getting into it, you know, obviously unless you're just incredibly wealthy and can afford to fail a bunch before you succeed, please start a home grow and you know, figure out a couple things and learn how to scale that. And if you've done a home grow and you're ready to take on 12,000 square foot or something, you might want to get some partners that you have the same mentality of and can help you, because it's they need love. You know, the plants really need love, and they, you know, but it also takes a lot of knowledge, you know, obviously, to give them the love that they need, but it takes a lot of time. And doing 6 plants versus doing 600, or, you know, it's at times, I think there's well over 2,000 here. So it just takes a big group to get it done, and nobody's going to get insanely wealthy. the math just doesn't add up. I think our first 100 pounds, our cost per pound was about 10,000 a pound. So, and if you don't believe me, I'll send you spreadsheets, because it sounds, it sounds impossible, but it is what it is, until you're really growing to some incredible scale and you can get your overhead down. Do it because you love it. Don't definitely, when you first get in, don't do it for the money, because you're not going to make any. But, it's fun though. And when you love it, it doesn't matter. Right. I mean, I'd be the first one to tell you that, if I was in this for the money, I would have lost. Huh?
Do you mind if I ask real quick? You mentioned just your cost per pound, obviously being high on your first run. Is that is that when you're calculating your investment?
I mean, that was everything but the mortgage, right? So, and it was just all of our systems we put in place and all the things we did. Now, granted, we could have, but our first 100-pound harvest, that was our first harvest, was 100 pounds in a, roughly a 2,000 square foot building, with there's a water room and there's, so canopy size, a little bit different, but that was funny for us to say, wow, we're at $10,000 a pound right now. This is not a good business model. And
you're really gonna have to stick with it and get more runs on the same investment in order to really, if you're gonna calculate it that way.
Oh yeah,
you've already endured the startup cost, which is what made that quote. Yeah, that's what we're getting.
Yeah, once you, our goal is to get under 100. Under 100. That's our goal. So
lots of room for improvement, right? Everyone after this will get infinitely better.
Yeah, definitely. Once you negate all that part, all the build out, then you can really calculate cost per pound. But eventually we're going to be at 220 or so on a perpetual harvest, 220 pounds a week. Now at that point, I would say it'll be a good investment. But as far as, it's going to take a lot more than losing it, everything it took me my lifetime to get to achieve or whatever. It's going to take a lot more than that to get me out of this, because there is a real love. And that part, I mean, it just doesn't matter. As long as we can do it, as long as we can make our bills and make the light bills, we're going to keep doing it. But luckily we got a little help recently. Sure. Yeah.
So, no, I was just curious in terms of how you are calculating, if you were calculating those actual costs, or if you included the initial investment, which you did. And I totally get why you did, especially when you're the one putting the money in. Startup cost all the same as every other cost. It's all dollars.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It doesn't. So your business plan can look nice and neat and show different things, but in the end, it's the cash going in and the cash coming out and keeping what's left, right? I mean, that's really what it comes to. So I totally hear you.
Yeah,
I really liked how you made your comparison about, because a lot of people don't realize that, and that's something that we've all talked about a lot on the show in the past before Steve went to Africa, is that, I like the idea that you said, start a room and learn how to grow in a room before you go buying a 2,000 square foot facility and trying to grow in that. Because number one, you're not going to be able to do it by yourself, period. No matter how much you know, it's just too much work if you're going to have quality in the end. But I love that. I thought that was great advice. You guys, if you want to get into growing, learn how to grow first. Learn the characteristics of the plants and find the strains that you like before you go throwing tons of money into something that overwhelms you. Because one thing we know for a fact, probably 9 out of 10 commercial farms that start up, Steve can probably jump in on this and give me better stats, but I would say right off the top of my head, just knowing the hemp companies here in Carolina who succeeded, it's not like growing corn, man. It's not like growing corn or even tomatoes. And I mean, tomatoes, you could probably put you could get in there with a lot of the same kind of ideas, but people think they're going to grow, it's like growing corn, and they don't know anything about it. So I thought that was great advice to start small and learn.
Yeah, I heard all the people say, "Oh, it's a weed. They call it a weed for a reason. It just grows." And that. Oh man, I have friends.
That's sort of true. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not
It's
anything you could profit
anything.
off of, right?
Yeah.
It'll grow in the fact that it won't die.
Yeah.
It won't die. Yeah. Sometimes just getting to harvest it all, I feel like, is some people's measure of success, which it can be at your home grow. That's great, right?
Yeah.
Like that's fine. No worries at all. But if you can't make 400 square feet profitable, you're not going to make 4,000 square feet profitable. You're definitely not going to make 400,000 square feet profitable. So starting small will give you a fighting chance. And it's still going to be difficult to scale up. Like even when you go from 400 square feet up to 4,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 square feet, all those are just going to make it harder. So do the biggest system you can afford at home and start from there.
And you'll
Yeah.
also be able
Run
to
it
learn
yourself
to love
if
it
you-
better that way. You'll learn to love it, as mentioned, because you won't hate yourself or hate what's going on. If you try to get too big and you fail, you may hate the whole thing. What not just cannabis, but agriculture, growing food, whatever. If you start and learn right from the beginning and start on the small scale, you can learn to love it. Then you'll be able to endure the hardships of trying to get bigger. You know.
Plus, you'll know every job that has to be done. So when you delegate it to someone else, you'll understand and empathize and have done what they've done before. You'll know what they're experiencing if you've done it before. Otherwise, maybe you won't.
Yeah, I made a little chart, and I'll try to see if it'll do any good to pull it up. But it's so much more than just growing, and that's why, if you're really good at growing at home and you've really figured out like what system that really works for you, and it looks scalable, and it looks like, man, you might have something here, and you want to make a dent in the industry, and you really want to do something special. There is so much more to a business, though. And that's why the average person can maybe name 3 or 4 grows that they actually know their name and who they are. We all know that every state has thousands of growers, or most states that are legal have thousands of growers, but yet you can only name a few. It's because there's only a few that can do every aspect of it. And if you lose, just one of those, if you drop the ball on just one of those aspects, like security, compliance, accounting, your day-to-day bookkeeping, your nutrients, it just goes on and on. Your sales, you're actually collecting, the ability to actually collect on those scales, or on each one of those sales. Not to mention not getting shot along the way somewhere. When you're dropping off $100,000 worth of something.
Right?
So
cash only, motherfuckers, cash only.
Yeah. And so there's so much to it, and you have to be perfect at each and every one. And so you got to surround yourself with people that can actually help you do all that. And I don't have that photo on me, but I tried to break it down into 10 categories and how important each one of them is. And actually producing a product, that's a big deal. But without this key feature and that key feature and this key item that you need, you're
Marketing in particular.
Marketing, customer service, but also employee relations and taking care of them and paying taxes. Oh my God. Transport. It just goes on. And it's really, truly each one of those things has to be done damn near perfectly, or else you're going to fall apart for some reason. So
luckily you had business experience in a different business world. So at least it wasn't completely foreign to you.
Yeah.
So that had to been a little bit of an advantage, right?
Oh yeah. And I did have some, well, I don't know who's all listening, but I had some experience on some other.
You can always say, you might want to start the sentence with the word allegedly.
Allegedly, I had done some things when I was younger that certainly helped me as a businessman later on. And then, oh man. Anyway, well, we won't get into that. But surely the more experience you get, the better you're going to do. So start at home. And start with people that you can, if you have one person, for sure you can call and get a true answer for, that'll take you really far, because it's really easy to, when there's, 6 different major ways of growing and there's 1,000 different ways to do each one of those. You can get lost in all this real quick. And I mean, you think trying to pick out a vehicle is hard, like try picking your grow style and your problem solving. Oh my God. There's a million ways to do it.
Well, we talk about, people starting small on home grows too. The same could be said for, tracking your expenses and doing little business things in your home grow now. If you're gonna, again, if you can't track the expenses and calculate how much profit you made on 400 square feet in your home grow, that's a pretty easy exercise to do. So just like in the same way you should start a small home grow for learning how to grow, track your expenses and your profit and your power usage and your BTUs and all of those things, and see if you can calculate all of those things out, so that when you get ready to go to another level, you have something to go on. In the same way you know how to grow, at least you have some good habits for tracking expenses and calculating profit and knowing how much your product costs at the end of the day, even if it's just how much money it saves you from going to the dispensary. They're all little things that you can do to give yourself, that fighting chance when you get ready to go for it. Don't go into business without any experience in business, and don't go into growing without any experience in growing. I know it sounds like common sense, but we focus on the growing part a lot.
It is common sense, Marty.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, aquaponics seems to attract a lot of people that have just want to, make money and have no idea and just dive headlong into it and expect that, oh, well, it's just easy, right? There's fish and the fish take a shit and magic happens and then profit, right? Like
shit equals profit. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that sell that concept as well as an idea. So
yeah,
the magic fish shit.
Well, the fish shit, the product works pretty good. We
not fish shit. I didn't mean the product.
Yeah.
I just mean, that's what they call it. Like the magic fish shit. Like they can just put it on anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
It's almost true. Just not quite that easy. Yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody? Anybody have anything else before we let them go?
Scuba Steve.
Why don't you tell everybody how to find you?
So on Facebook, I think you can still find us at just Organic Innovations, but we don't really post much on Facebook. So I don't think we have anything on there, just a page. But I think my contact information is on there. On Instagram, OrganicInnovationsOK. That's where you can see from our humble beginnings and then some good successes. You can see a mix of organic and synthetics, but a synthetic that we believe in the way that it's sourced as a good way. Our goal is to be completely off of any bottled nutrient ever. We're pretty much actually there right now. So, but we're just getting into it.
Well, if we don't count full humics.
Oh yeah.
Or full power.
Yeah, full power. Hey, that's
talk to Dr. Faust today too. He's doing good.
Yeah, he's funny actually.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, he is funny. And
him and Roger get along great.
Yeah.
Did you talk to him about aliens?
No, we didn't get to. Dang.
Oh, y'all didn't talk long enough then.
Yeah. So you can find us on there.
I'm checking on you, Richard.
Yeah. I'm sure he's listening. And man, anyway, he cracked me up.
He's old like me. We get along because he's old like me. So that's why we get along.
Yeah. Oh man, he was funny. And then there's there are certain dispensaries you can find us at. My original goal was to have people go into the dispensary and ask what our grow had to offer at that dispensary, and that happened right off the bat. and that was really, really cool. That was amazing. And we had, anyway, so that was really cool. So you can find us some dispensaries. If you're in Oklahoma, if you're in Southern Oklahoma, our favorite one down here is Urban Farmhouse, and a lady named Shelly that runs it. We've started doing some cool processing. Steven's actually going to help us do some solventless and live rosin and live resin, right?
Yep.
I think both, yeah. And we
some other cool stuff that we'll be showing off later.
yeah, getting into some cool stuff with some experienced guys that again, my original team, they had only grown in cocoa, and so to just jump off into every single style right off the bat was, man, it was so much fun. But thank God I had my personal finances backing me up, because it's been a long road to here. But yeah, I'm excited about the future now.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have an awesome looking facility built there, and when you were talking about the upfront costs, I can tell you to bury those pipes under that concrete was not inexpensive at all.
Yeah, we got charged the grip for the property.
That is a major, but I mean, that is a system. I love the way you got the tanks where you're using that buried, has a gravity feed and all that, and then that's just awesome. It doesn't get any better than that right there. That's pretty high level stuff right there. I love it.
Yeah.
One of the nicest operations and clean the way it's set up that I've seen.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was a little dirty today. We were transplanting, but
well, I mean, the way the whole
transplanting
laid out.
Yeah. We love it. And anyway, that's been an adventure. The indoor rooms, we didn't get to see those. If you look at the Instagram, you can see how seriously we took those when we were building them out. They're very serious. We probably have twice as much lighting as we need, but
yeah,
it's it was designed by a lighting system company. So we said, hey, that sounds good. So we did it. I think it was just a way to sell more lights, but that's all right. And our next facility, we're definitely going to do a tour in there when that all gets ready. So dual root zone in a large scale commercial application.
Yep.
I think it'll be the first of its kind, maybe, the way you're talking about, or we're talking about designing it.
So at that size, for sure.
Yeah.
At least in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun. So we're doing a 3-tiered dual root zone, pallet rack dual root zone system.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, no, this particular design, I think, will be the first one that I've seen. So.
Yeah. That's going to be incredible.
So 3 tiers. So you're similar to the what the guy up in what is it, Michigan or wherever, where he was using 3 tiers.
Yeah, similar to
Grow Food America or something.
Cultivator, but it'll be flood and drain instead of GWC.
Well, his was like a almost like NFT. Well, it was kind of flood and drain, I guess. It almost was like gravity, but like they fed it through gravity, so there was always, so it was like it was a hybrid in a way, between a low water, shallow water culture.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thing. So we had trays where we pumped it way up to the top, and it drained through all the other trays and came back down the tiers. So anyway, sorry, I digress.
Yeah.
Your idea.
Oh,
okay. Earlier.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So what's up with you, Roger? Anything else new?
No, I pretty much spilled the beans earlier. I mean, it's nothing but mostly grief and going through licensing. So really, I'm happy, but I'm not happy. So
you're just sharing the same pain Marty and I bitch about on a regular basis.
Yeah, and we've had our own bitches for a long time over here, where people bury their head in the sands and don't actually know the facts about anything sometimes. And but we're catching up a little bit. I don't know if we'll ever have cannabis the way things are going. I mean, we're the THC cannabis. I doubt we'll ever have that here. They're more geared up on trying to have some pharmaceutical answer to it than letting people grow pot. So No, but I didn't care. I wanted to get, you know, I've already been in the industry 15 years, and to get into it as a grower finally, just doing hemp because of the medical benefits. And and honestly, we might take, like I've always said, I'm going to take one of the directions that not everybody else is doing, because everybody thinks they're going to get rich doing this and doing that. Well, they've outlawed flower here. They've outlawed flower in North Carolina because SLED, the law enforcement agency, said they can't distinguish the difference between THC cannabis and hemp cannabis. So we can't grow and sell the flower. Now, I do know that there is a market that, and since it's federally legal and you get your handlers of permits, you can ship it off and sell it or take it in a truck across state lines now. So that's the one saving grace, but you got to do it. So there's 6 or 7 places I know from one of our friends and partners in North Carolina that there's a few places out of state where you can sell your flower. But I'm worried about the, like I said, the THC content percentage test at the end of the grow. So I think I'm going to take a different tack and go into a different area of business. And I'm not going to tell y'all yet. I'm going to do a Steve here. I'm going to do a Steve. I can't release this information yet. It's not like rocket science. There's only so many options you have, but I'm going to do some more research on exactly how that. But I do know what my plan is will help me come in under the THC level, because all right. Well, I'll give y'all a test. If you guess it, I'll tell you you're right. Doing it this way will reduce the final THC percentage. Doing this action and using this marketing method of a hemp plant will allow me to probably come in under the wire THC percentage wise.
There you go. There you go.
Then, well, so y'all don't have an idea, I guess.
I don't know.
Steve's working too hard. He's too tired because he should have got this.
I am too tired.
So any of y'all out there, remember, this is Steve working on the farm every day. And then there was Steve when he hung out in California and traveled. He still worked, but yeah. This is Steve after he's worked on the farm for a week. Yeah. Well, I wish, we all wish we could be so poor to be that tired from doing what you love.
Someone in chat says cutting it down early.
Well, that would be the way you would do it, but then your flower wouldn't have, I mean, you'd have so much less bulk, because we know the bulk of your flower is all at the end. The last 2 to 3, 4 weeks is when you get the most bulk.
You're gonna use the UV trick.
No, I haven't heard about that. We can talk about that sometime if you want to. What UV trick? Oh, UV killing THC?
Well, so UV, you don't want UV for CBD cultivars. You don't want UV during the grow period, because UV increases, particularly UVB increases THC synthase over CBD synthase if it has both genes. So you'll end up increasing your THC and reducing your CBD. But what you can do is you can grow them, your CBD, and if you have THCA in there, or even Delta 9, you can take a UVB lamp and hit it. I'm sorry, it's not UVB, UVA lamp, I believe it is. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it's UVA lamp. You show that, you shine that on the plants when they're drying for, I don't know, a period of time. I don't remember how long, and it will convert the THCA and THC to CBN, which in most states doesn't count against you for THC count.
Oh my
The
God.
problem is that we have to be tested and destroy our plants before it's cut down. So if they come out to the field, or well, like, all right, our plan was, because of the cultivars we're going to try out this year, we were going to have 4 to 5 fields, because each field has to have one strain in it, one specific strain, and has to all be detailed and kept up with. And then, so I've got 4 or 5 different kinds of seeds. And so I was going to have 4 or 5 different grow areas. You know, when I say field, it could be just like you're saying, could be a 40 by 50. You know, it's not going to be real big. It's going to be, that's where we're going to, because we already decided we're not going to try to go ape shit and grow thousands of plants this year. we're going to grow because of this problem. We're going to grow more than a few, you know, quite a few dozen of each cultivar, and then see what passes and what fails at the end of the year, instead of wasting all our money to grow mass, because we're not going to be able to harvest it and then kill THC off or anything like that. So it's a matter of having to. So we all know if we grow a cannabis plant, and one thing we don't want it to do in flower, we don't want to see this. And if this happens, it's not that you won't get some good smoke, but your THC percentage will fall. Oh gosh. We're gonna be a seed company.
Oh, there you go.
If it's producing seeds, the THC content will be lesser. Not maybe not a ton lesser, but it'll be lesser, right? Right.
Yeah.
So that would put us underneath because they're saying and this is even the big, everybody's using cherry wine, all of them. They say if you grow, I talked to the guy, you know, again, I want to say it's Oregon CBD or whatever the company is out there. And that's what Brooke uses. You know, they've got their own strains, but they use Oregon CBD seed company, I believe. And y'all can find it. If I'm wrong, you'll still be able to find it if you want to look for it. But I talked with them out there the other day. They were real nice to give me plenty of time to talk to me, and they flat out told me that their seeds, if you grow it to fully fruition like we would a THC plant, it's going to be a 5 when it's going to be 0.5 when it's harvested. So if you're getting to do like North Carolina's getting to do it in the 3rd week of flower, they kind of go out in just 1 week and hit all the hemp places and do their tests. And so everybody there's been able to come in pretty much legal. But here they decided in their infinite wisdom that they want us to call them 2 weeks before our harvest, which would be at the most potent THC level of the plant, which is going to make it real hard for us to conform to the 0.3 THC limit. So that's what I was getting at. So I come up with my infinite after all these years. Not that I didn't really want to do it this way, but honestly, I just want to, if this might be better even, I think we're going to do seeds. We're going to hook up with good, strong genetics that are out there and work with them. And we've got several friends, you know, in our network that we all have, you know, here that I can work with also, you know, that are patenting or licensing or whatever people are doing with seeds to make it their cultivar, you know. So that's what we're going to try to do, I think, you know, if everything goes the way I'm hoping it will, because we can't sell flower. I don't have a big enough farm for biomass, but I bet I could produce a bunch of seeds.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it until next week.
Awesome. Well, I've just been finishing up, getting everything started, coming up with a game plan for soil, getting their aquaponics back on point. So it's been a long day. I think we're going to wrap it up. Roger, why don't you tell people how to find you?
Well, for the last 6 years, I've been running a great forum out of Amsterdam called ilovegrowingmarijuana.com. We've got an awesome seed bank with all your favorite strains and all. I've also decided I've opened up an email that I was going to start allowing people to communicate with me, which I've kind of kept in the background. And if Steve if you would add this to my, you know, on the YouTube for me, in the description or whatever, but it's Latewood, which is my cannabis name, Latewood at protonmail.com. You could, if you got any questions about hemp, or you're in the Southeast or East Coast, and you're going through these same kind of issues, trying to be licensed for hemp or whatever, I'd love to hear from you. We can compare notes, what your state's doing or mine, or, you know, I've already got friends. Ultimately, like Steve knows this, I got friends from right here at home that met me through this show, and then the Josh's and Layton's cannabis conference, you know. So it's really kind of neat how you end up going 13 hours away from somebody that lives, you know, an hour away from you at home. So any of you people that might need help with any kind of this licensing, I'm going through it and studying it, and I can try to help you out if I can. If not, I can put you in touch with somebody smarter than me.
Very cool. This is I love growing marijuana.com.
Yep.
That's very cool.
Awesome.
You got over
Well,
500 articles in there.
I'm looking at it.
In the
It's
blog.
amazing.
And I'm sorry, but because I forgot about, because it's been not a regular thing anymore. Now it's going to be for a while, I hope. We haven't been doing the podcast regularly, so I didn't catch your name.
Me?
You,
Donovan. Yeah,
Donovan. Oh, well, I'll remember that one. Okay. I was, I was around in the 60s when Donovan was a big rock
Yeah, yeah. I think I've ordered seeds off of here.
star.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
You can find out more about me. Oh, I've also been working on with Marty on the class, getting that going. We have the long format. Might end up even being a 5 or 6 day class. We're kind of really adding a lot of additional content to the original commercial class. So we've been kind of chunking it out in 25 or 30 slide sections and updating them and then recording them as him and I have time with our different work schedules. So we'll get that out as soon as we can. And then the book's coming along. I've been chunking away at that as well when I have time, namely on Sundays. So we will we'll go ahead and call it a show. Thank you everyone for watching. Sorry for a bit of a erratic schedule. We will try to get back on to a normal schedule. We do have a couple of cool people in the queue to come on the show that I've talked to. Yeah, find me at Ponics, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, all the different 1,000 places. And we will be back again next week. And try not to catch that virus.
Yeah.
Stay home.
Yeah. All right. We'll catch you guys later. Cheers.
So yeah.
Peace.